Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the 361 Degrees AG4, and this of course Aaron Gordon's signature shoe. It's his fourth shoe with 361 Degrees, which is a Chinese company, and it retails for only $100. It's $100, which is super freaking cheap, especially for a signature shoe and also especially for the tech that you get. I feel like this is one of the best value hoop shoes that you can get right now because the tech is absolutely amazing and the quality also is pretty damn good for the price, you know what I mean? So if you guys do want to cop, I try to leave a link in the description box. But let's get started right off with the Tracciones, and we have kind of like a modified herringbone traction pattern, and kind of like at the corners we have like a circle, right? And here in the midfoot, it's a very fine herringbone traction pattern, and it kind of like enlarges, right, as it goes out. But yeah, and also we have these kind of grooves here in the forefoot. But how is the overall traction performance? It's top tier. It was in the top traction list. That's how good this traction is. It bites really freaking hard. If you're playing on a clean court, it has amazing bites. Really hard, like top tier. Like one of the hardest stops that I've tried this year so far. Really good bite on a clean court. So yeah, I mean that's of course a very good thing. Also, it's very loud. It has a very loud high-pitched squeak, which I also do like. That has nothing to do with performance, of course, but I like to have a nice squeak, you know what I mean? Also for dust performance, it performs very well. It picks up very minimal dust, and if it did pick up dust, I did it very easy and light wipe and I was good to go. And when I was playing on a really dirty court, it did pick up dust a little bit, but it didn't even pick it up that quickly. So I was very surprised at that because some other shoes I was playing in, it was just, I had to constantly wipe, right? But the AG4, not that much. And also, like I said, it was a very easy wipe, right? And also durability seems like it'll be very good. I mean, these Chinese companies give us very durable rubbers and outsoles, especially compared to like Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, which they just give us nubs, you know? So yeah, the rubber is very hard, the grooves are deep, and also we have a lot of surface area, we have a lot of rubber, so it'll definitely be durable on an outdoor court in my personal opinion. Of course, take that with a grain of salt because I didn't actually play on an outdoor court with the AG4, but just from like holding it and playing in it and also touching the outsole, it feels like it'll be very durable, right? So yeah, the traction is top tier, top tier. I really like playing in this shoe because of the amazing traction. And now moving on to the heel to toe transition, it feels very smooth, right? So here in the heel, we have a lot of caging, right? In the back of the shoe and also on the side, look at that, right? So you would think it would be kind of clunky, but it's actually not. So we have a nice rounded shape, and also the cushion is quite soft, right? The foam. So the heel feels nice, and then the forefoot, we have a nice curved shape and a lot of forefoot flex. It's super duper easy to flex here in the forefoot. But also we have this midfoot chain plate. So torsion support, of course, is very good. So overall heel to toe transition when you're doing heel dominant strides down the court feels very nice and smooth, which of course I do like. Now moving on to the cushioning setup, which is also one of my favorite parts about this shoe, right? So like I said, they're using a lot of cage, which when I first saw it, I was like, I don't really like it, you know what I mean? Because especially this black plastic, it's kind of stiff, you know, it's like on the harder side of things. However, I definitely feel like they needed to do it because the foam is actually really soft, right? Feeling it here on the medial side where it's kind of exposed, it's super duper soft, right? And they're using a combination of quick Q-Tech, right, foam, and also quick balance foam. So they said it's a combination of both of those. And it feels extremely nice, especially because of the Strobo board, right? So first of all, the insole's alright. It's just a regular foam insole. It doesn't add too much. I mean, it's kind of nice and plush, especially when you first get it, but it bottoms out when you play in it, you know what I mean? But underneath that, we have a crazy soft mesh Strobo board, and the step and comfort is absolutely insane. I love it, and it was really nice for me. I feel like some people, they might feel like it's a little too soft, so just be careful on that, especially if you're a heavier guy. But for me, I'm not super heavy. I'm only like 165 pounds, so it's still really nice. Step and comfort, underfoot cushioning, it's super duper soft, and also it has a nice little rebound back or right underneath your foot. So it feels really nice. I feel like it's a really good balance between something that's like a stiff Strobo board and like a folding zoom Strobo board, which is like obviously the bounciest that you can get, right? So I feel like it's a nice little medium. You know, if you think folding zoom Strobo is a little bit too much, especially like I think that, you know, sometimes, this is a really nice kind of everyday cushioning setup, I feel like, you know? And also this rubber here, right? I thought, you know, when I first saw it, I was like, it looks very stiff. It doesn't look like it'll be very soft, but the rubber is actually kind of soft, you know? It reminds me a lot of the hard volume too, and this is actually, it's soft right underneath your heel, and it actually has a little bit of compression as well. So heel compression is pretty nice. Step and comfort underfoot cushioning is amazing. Impact protection, of course, force is great. We have a nice little bounce as well. Court feel is also pretty good. I would say it's like around average, maybe a little bit better than average. But yeah, I really enjoyed this cushioning setup. And I mean, even on cheaper shoes, if Nike just gave us like a Cushlon or a Phylon, right, and gave us a soft mesh showboard, it would improve the cushioning setup so much. You know what I mean? So yeah, they did a really great job, and I love what Chinese companies are doing with that mesh strobe board. So yeah, the cushioning setup is great, and I feel like most people will enjoy it, and did everything very well, right? And now moving on to the upper. So we basically have like a textile mesh, and we have a little bit of extra kind of like stitching on it, especially here on the medial side. It kind of reminds me of the Luka ones, remember, with the flight wire, and it's really thin. Look, it conforms to my foot very well, but also feels very minimal and super supportive. There's zero stretch to this upper, and also we have an extra layer of fuse on the lateral side as well. Look at that. So yeah, they just did everything very well in designing this upper, I feel like, you know, because it's soft where it needs to be soft, it's comfortable where it needs to be comfortable, but also it's stiff and supportive where it needs to be stiff and supportive. So that's a very great design. And also, like, this textile, like I said, is super duper soft, right? But they also added this plastic material over the eyelets a little bit, so that also kind of stiffens up the material right here, and that adds a little bit more support too, which I think is a great kind of design. And then for the tongue, we don't really have that much padding. It's just like a pretty thin kind of mesh or polyester type of material. It's a half booty construction tongue as well, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. And then for the padding here in the ankle area, we have an average amount of padding on the sides, but then here where your Achilles is, we have this crazy pad, right? It's kind of like a Achilles pad a little bit, but it's not on the sides, more like where your Achilles is. And it's this red color in this colorway, and it locks down your heel very well. It feels very nice and plush where your kind of like Achilles rests. So that feels very nice. And honestly, for $100, this quality is really good. It also feels like it'll be durable too. It doesn't feel like it'll like rip or tear that easily. It feels great on foot. Quality is pretty great too. So I really like the upper. And now moving on to the fit. So I went true to size, and it fits me very well, right? So my toes go very close to the edge of the shoe. Here in the toe box is quite snug, and width-wise, it is slightly narrow. So it's a very snug fit, and I really liked how it fit my foot because I like to have a very snug fit in my hoop shoes. So if you like a very snug fit, I would suggest going true to size. If you want a little bit looser or maybe or a little bit more normal fit, then go up half a size. But if you have a very wide foot or you want a really roomy fit, probably go full size, right? But for me, going true to size, it fit me very well, and I was very happy with the fit. And also, I really like the pull tab. It's a very high pull tab, which makes the shoe overall very easy to put on. Now moving on to the support and lockdown, I had zero issues with lateral containment, right? Lateral containment was very good. We have a lot of lateral counters. We have like a sidewall of this plastic and also this fuse, right, going through it pretty much the entire lateral side of the shoe. Here in the forefoot, here in the midfoot, also here in the heel, we have this like plastic emblem, right, and also an internal TPU heel counter, it feels like. So lateral containment, I was good to go. Also, lateral stability was very good. You know, we have a wide base here in the forefoot. We do have the outsole protruding out a little bit as well. So lateral stability was good. This is a mid-top design, but didn't really restrict ankle movement that much for me, right? So the actual ankle support wasn't great. However, you know, I like to play in low top, so it wasn't a huge deal. One thing that I did notice that was kind of annoying though was this part, right? It kind of comes up really high. It's not super, I mean, it's kind of soft, but it's like a little stiff actually. So when I was kind of like, you know, jumping, this part would kind of dig into my Achilles just a tiny bit. And it does have a lot of foam, so it wasn't like uncomfortable. It wasn't like painful or anything. It was just kind of annoying sometimes, right? So it's not even a big deal. It's just a very minor nitpicky thing that I'm just kind of explaining to you guys that I noticed. But again, it wasn't a huge deal, right? And also lockdown was very good. You know, once I tightened the laces, my foot felt locked into the shoe, and I didn't really have any issues with my foot moving around inside of the shoe or anything, right? And now moving on to the weight of the shoe. If I remember correctly, it was like around average weight, right? Yeah, 12.5 on the dot, which is pretty much average weight. Let's check the other shoe, 12.3 ounces, right? So yeah, the weight is average. However, it feels really minimal as far as the upper goes, but also you feel very quick and super responsive when you're playing in it because the traction is so good. The cushion is overall responsive, but also very comfortable. Lockdown was good, support was great. My foot wasn't moving inside of the shoe at all. So I felt very quick when I was playing in this shoe, and that's very weird because all the other AGs, release, like Aaron Gordon, like his entire shoe line has been a little bit more on the stiffer side of things, which makes sense because he's a very big dude, right? He's a big dude, he needs a lot of impact protection, he needs a lot of support. But the AG4, I feel like they redesigned it very, very well. You know what I mean? They put support where support needs to be, but also they blended that well with keeping the shoe minimal and also very responsive feeling, right? So yeah, I loved how the shoe felt when I was playing in it. Now moving on to the ventilation. Ventilation is okay, you know, through this textile, there's a little bit of airflow and the material is pretty thin, so it wasn't super hot, but also like it wasn't super airy. So I would say ventilation is around average, right? And moving on to the aesthetics, I love it. This colorway looks great. The overall design looks great as well. There's also some really dope colorways coming out. Right? There's this Bruce Lee colorway that I really like. So yeah, tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, this is the best shoe for the price right now that you can get. $100, even if it was like $150, I'd be like, yo, this is an amazing shoe, right? So price aside, this shoe is an amazing performer. It's like top 5, top 10 performers of this year. And this will heavily be in my rotation. I really enjoyed playing in this shoe. It did everything very well, right? With a cushion, blending like soft, comfortable cushion with responsiveness, right? With amazing traction, keeping the material supported, but also minimal, you know what I mean? It just did everything very well. So if you're a guard, you're gonna love this shoe. Also, I feel like even if you're a bigger dude like Aaron Gordon, you'll love this shoe as well because support is good, but also the cushion is really nice without it being too soft and mushy, and the traction is freaking amazing. And also, it doesn't feel bulky or anything, it doesn't feel heavy, so I feel like most people will enjoy it. I really don't see anyone like disliking the shoe in my personal opinion, you know? So yeah, I heavily recommend this shoe to you guys, especially for the $100 price tag, which is an amazing price, right? So anyways, it is approved by the Sole Drop and heavily recommended. So that about concludes my review of the AG4. Again, if you guys don't want to cop, I try to leave a link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next.